For this International Women's Day, March 8th, 2021, I choose to challenge patriarchy.
I choose to challenge negativity.
I choose to challenge my role in highlighting untold stories in our communities.
I choose to challenge inequality.
For International Women's Day, I choose to challenge the notion that single mothers can't raise fine, upstanding young men.
I choose to challenge self-limiting beliefs.
I choose to challenge every girl and every woman to recognise their potential to achieve anything in life. Follow your dreams. You can do it.
I choose to challenge diversity barriers in film and TV.
On International Women's Day, I choose to challenge body shaming and beauty standards because we're all queens.
For this International Women's Day, March 8th, 2021, I choose to challenge patriarchy.
I choose to challenge negativity.
I choose to challenge my role in highlighting untold stories in our communities.
I choose to challenge inequality.
For International Women's Day, I choose to challenge the notion that single mothers can't raise fine, upstanding young men.
I choose to challenge self-limiting beliefs.
I choose to challenge every girl and every woman to recognise their potential to achieve anything in life. Follow your dreams. You can do it.
I choose to challenge diversity barriers in film and TV.
On International Women's Day, I choose to challenge body shaming and beauty standards because we're all queens.
For this International Women's Day, March 8th, 2021, I choose to challenge patriarchy.
I choose to challenge negativity.
I choose to challenge my role in highlighting untold stories in our communities.
I choose to challenge inequality.
For International Women's Day, I choose to challenge the notion that single mothers can't raise fine, upstanding young men.
I choose to challenge self-limiting beliefs.
I choose to challenge every girl and every woman to recognise their potential to achieve anything in life. Follow your dreams. You can do it.
I choose to challenge diversity barriers in film and TV.
On International Women's Day, I choose to challenge body shaming and beauty standards because we're all queens.
Welcome to the third series of events hosted by the BAME Network. So it's lovely to have you all here with us this evening. And this evening we are celebrating International Women's Day, and we are absolutely thrilled and delighted to have your company for what promises to be an exciting evening with fantastic speakers who we are so honoured to have as part of our inaugural event. I'm Mimi Harker, and I am the founder and the chair of the BAME Network. The BAME Network came together last August. It was a dream I've had for about 17 years to create a network like this, which gives a platform to people, organisations, community groups and businesses from BAME backgrounds and makes it possible for us to have a voice. And it was a call to arms that brought about the most fantastic group of people coming together who all feel passionately about equality. and we are all working together on different work streams to make a difference and to ring in the changes. We intend to make a contribution towards the formation of policies. We will be hosting events across all the work streams, highlighting the various issues that need to be addressed across our county and probably across the country. We will be hosting seminars and webinars, and I hope that you will all sign up to this network and join us in our quest for a community that works together, lives together, and plays together in harmony. You can sign up by going to bucksbamenetwork.org.uk, and by doing that, you will make sure that you never ever miss out on any of our fantastic programs that we'll be offering you over the time. And if you've got any more questions about the organisation, please feel free to get in touch with me, and I would be really, really happy to talk you through exactly what we're doing. I have to say, and it's a little cheeky, but I wouldn't like to miss the opportunity, that if you're a funder, we would be truly delighted to hear from you. So enough about the network. We have a fabulous evening for you, but before we begin, we need a few bits of housekeeping, please. You will see on your screen that you've got several different functions across the screen. So please keep your microphones on mute unless you are actually speaking. If you've got any questions for our brilliant speakers, you will see that there is actually a Q&A tab on your screen. And so please put any relevant questions in there. There's also a chat bar as well for any comments such as, "We're having a fabulous evening," or for you to say who you are, tell us what your organisation is, and of course any contact details you might want to put in there for as well for us to contact you later on, or to contact and get in touch with each other. And as with any events like this, and before we start our programme proper, we do need to say a few thank yous to the people who have helped us put this evening together. So first and foremost, thank you to Holy Cow, who are not only sponsoring this event, but also co-hosting. This is why we have all the mod cons that you can see on the screen. I'd also like to thank Andy Scott, who has put together all the animations you've seen with the videos and all our social media. And regarding the social media, a huge big thank you to Soundarya, to Poonam and to B and to Vicky for the hours they have spent in designing, writing, sending and scheduling everything. Just brilliant. We've had a great online presence. And a big thank you to Vicky Jackson, who is managing all the technology behind the scenes. So Vicky, I wonder if you might just come out and take a bow, please. Can we see you? Thank you very much, Vicky. We appreciate it. Okay. So thank you to all of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us this evening, and we're absolutely delighted that you're here. And as the evening progresses, you will see what a great choice you've made this evening to come and join us. And finally, I would like to thank our fantastic speakers, Rachael Shimmin OBE and Patti Boule OBE, as well as our sparkling young women's panel. We've got Arushi and Rebecca, Zara, Hannah and Sasha. And I have to say to you that if these young women are examples of our society today, then the world is in a very safe place. Tonight's event is being recorded and it will be available on YouTube and other social media outlets. So please do share all of that when you see it. And please subscribe to the Bucks BAME Network on Twitter, on Facebook and on Instagram. And now I am going to hand over to Ranjula Takodra MBE, who is the lead for the women's work stream. Ranjula, it is over to you.
Good evening to you all, and welcome to our event today. A very happy International Day to you all. I think we are celebrating women today, so hence it'll be a wonderful evening, I'm sure. This is the first of many events that we have planned for, so we are going to do many, many workshops and training for women's issues. We are going to be doing talks on women's safety, domestic abuse, any other form of abuse, we are going to be doing workshops for building confidence for women and also self-esteem. So please watch this, the space, everybody, and do join us, as Mimi has said. I now would like to introduce to you my fabulous team who have worked extremely hard to put this together. We have Benedicta, fondly known as B.
Hiya.
Then Claudette, Mimi,
Sorry.
Poonam,
Hi.
Sandaria, and, you know, let's just sit back, relax and enjoy the program. Looking forward to the speakers. Thank you, Mimi. Over to you.
Brilliant. This time I won't forget to switch that on. Thank you very much, Ranjula. And can I just say what a pleasure it is to work with you and the rest of the ladies on this team. It is just the most exhilarating and, I have to say, uplifting experience working with all you fabulous, wonderful ladies, because I think we've done some really amazing work so far, which is great. As I said, this was the third in the series that we've done, because we also celebrated Black History Month and we celebrated Diwali. But today I've been asked just to do a few words about the values of International Women's Day. And it's interesting that here we are in 2021 and we're still celebrating International Women's Day 110 years after it first started in the US. There has been a movement like this since the early 1900s, with the first conference taking place, would you believe, in 1910, with women from 17 countries across the world present at that conference. It used to be about shorter working hours because of families, of course, but it used to be about better pay and about equal pay. And of course, votes for women. There were debates the world over on equal rights for women in the workplace. And in 1911, Austria, Denmark, Germany and Switzerland also hosted International Women's Day on the 19th of March, where more than 1 million women attended rallies, campaigning for women's rights to work, to vote, to be trained, to hold public office, and of course to end discrimination. That was 110 years ago. The United Nations celebrated International Women's Day in 1975 for the first time, and in 2011, President Barack Obama declared that March would be the Women's History Month. And of course, in this country, Annie Lennox led a march over one of the bridges here in London. Change is happening, but it is slow. And that's the thing that I think frustrates us all so much. And that's the reason we're still here with our agenda on the plate. We still have gender disparity, we still have pay disparity, we still have workplace disparity. Tonight, we are all part of a global solidarity of men and women who believe in equality for women in our society. By being here tonight, we are all showing leadership and we are all setting an example. And for that, let's virtually support each other and hold each other up proudly. Let's get rid of the gaps that exist and let's make every day a celebration of women. We must all make sure we do our bit to ensure the future for our next generations of girls and young women is bright, it's rewarding, it's equal and it's fulfilling. So we've got a great evening ahead of us. Without further ado, let's get cracking. I'm going to hand over now to Soundarya, who is going to introduce our first speaker. So Soundarya, it's over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mimi. Thank you. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce our first guest speaker, Rachael Shimmin OBE. Thank you, Rachael, for taking time to be with us this evening, in spite of your busy schedule. We really appreciate you being here with us to share your journey in becoming the accomplished person you are. Rachael Shimmin OBE is the Chief Executive of the Buckinghamshire Council. She was awarded her OBE in 2014 in the Queen's Birthday Honours for services to social care. Rachael is currently a member of the Association of County Chief Executives. She is an important part of many more boards and sits on a variety of boards within Buckinghamshire. Before I hand this over to Rachel, I would like to remind everyone that you can ask your questions in the Q&A, as Rachel cannot stay with us for the whole meeting. Without further ado, Rachael Shimmin OBE, over to you.
Well, thank you so very much, and absolutely delighted to be joining you on International Women's Day. I very much enjoy being part of International Women's Day events, and in non-COVID times I've often travelled into London to be part of workshops to encourage and support women. What I'm going to do in this segment for you today is I'm just going to give you some of my own experience and hints and tips in order to progress. And one of the fascinating statements that one of our colleagues made earlier when we had the video was around us recognising our own potential to achieve. When I was a much younger person, I used to sometimes read newspapers and I used to look at some of the six-figure salaries, and I used to think, I can't imagine how amazingly good that you must have to be to progress in that way in your career. That's clearly not something that's ever going to be for a person like me. And I think that it's really critical to recognise that point about we all have the potential to achieve. But in terms of lessons for me, and really very happy, as we said earlier, to do questions and answers, we've got to think about what we do as people to succeed. And the first thing that I want to say is, I think, and it kind of goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway, we've got to work really hard. Got to work really, really hard and take absolute advantages of all of those things that Mimi just set out that are accessible to us as women, as people. So for me, when I was developing my career earlier on, I grabbed opportunities for courses, I grabbed opportunities for extra qualifications, and I gradually developed my own confidence through coaching and mentoring, being coached and mentored, to think, you know what, I think I can do that job. I think I can take the next step. And the overcoming of setbacks in life and in career do teach us lessons, don't they? And I guess my philosophy is, if somebody throws bricks at you, actually, let's just use those bricks as stepping stones rather than be hurt by them. And a really good example for me of this is when I was employed many years ago now in an organisation, not the one I'm currently in, I hasten to add, there was definitely a sense that you could only progress if you'd been around for a long, long time. So you had to do your job for probably about 20 years before you were considered almost eligible for parole, really, before you were considered eligible to move on to the next step. And that was really difficult for me as a young then social worker. And actually what I decided to do was not only move organisations to one that was going to recognise my potential and my ability, but I was going to make absolutely sure that for the rest of my career, I ensured that people were supported and encouraged to develop and to progress. And for me as a female leader, that is really important. I'm not interested in saying, look at the job title, look how important I am. I take the work really seriously, but I don't take myself too seriously. And I absolutely see it as a cornerstone of the way I operate to encourage men and women to really progress and develop. And that point about mentoring and coaching is really important. So I would encourage you to look for somebody in your own network that you think, actually, I really admire that person. I'd be really glad to have a conversation with them about how they've developed, any advice they can give. Sometimes we have people who are paid to coach us. Other times we have an informal mentor. But I've always found it invaluable to provide a bit of space for reflection, some challenge actually, and encouragement, somebody holding the mirror up to me to say, you know, do you think you could have done that a different way? Are there other ways to approach this? But as important for me as a female leader, it's critical that I coach and mentor others. And throughout my career, I've had formal and informal arrangements to coach people who want to progress in their careers, want a safe space to explore how they develop, how they do things, how they lead others. And again, I think as a senior leader, I've got a real responsibility to develop others, to help them progress, to help them achieve and be all that they can be in their chosen field. And that sense of encouraging, of enabling others to find a voice, I've looked back at time in various roles I've had, and I've looked for the people who were quieter, the people who I felt were underrepresented, the people who were nervous about expressing their view, and being very, very keen to really bring their voices to the fore. So one of the things that I was really proud to do is to sit on a national body in relation to supporting people who were learning disabled, a group of people whose needs are often overlooked. And I continue to talk about people who are learning disabled in the organisation that I lead now. So when we're talking about vaccine rollout, for instance, I would be the person in the meeting saying, can I just check where are we on people with learning disabilities and what are we doing for those people? So that sense of let's really think about excluded groups together. Let's think about networks like this one and how we can support them, I think is really important for me and has been throughout my career. And finally, the importance of networking. This is an informal and important network, and I would really encourage you to think about all of the networks that you are part of, especially networks actually that aren't necessarily for like-minded people. So understanding different perspectives and voices, thinking about how you make and maintain contact with people, and critically engaging with people on a very human level. The job title is only part of who we are. Who we are is based on our experience. It's about our values. It's about our behaviours. And yes, of course, we all have a job to do and we do that job. Sometimes we have to do things that aren't particularly pleasant. But actually the way we approach those tasks, the way that we network and learn from others are incredibly important. And so, of course, finally from me, I've put this little bit of clip art in here. We're all Wonder Women, whatever our colour, creed, our shape or our size, but actually we're all human and we're all human beings, and we're not going to get everything right all the time. And we shouldn't beat ourselves up as women for having to juggle the things that we do have to juggle. I've got a school-age child. It was his first day back in today. I can't stay for the whole of this session because actually I need to spend a little bit of time with him as his mum, just talking about how that's been. We should embrace all the aspects of our lives as women, use them positively to benefit our workplaces and to help support others. Happy International Women's Day. Very happy to take any questions.
Thank you so much, Rachel. That was really inspiring, and I think we all really look up to you here, definitely, and thank you so much. I have a question for you, which is, have you become the dream job, or have you become the dream that you always envisioned yourself to be?
What a great question. Well, the truth is, I never quite knew what I wanted to do. And so one of the things I encourage other people to do when they're thinking about work is draw a little map, a little roadmap for themselves, and to put on that roadmap not just their career ambitions, but also the things in life that matter to them. We are at risk sometimes, aren't we, of being channeled into the next job, the next pay rise, more responsibility, more senior roles. Well, actually, that's not always right for people, and it's not always right for them at every point in their lives. When I had my son, who's now 11, I was a corporate director in a big, really big council in another part of the country. And it was so unusual for women in my job to have a baby that I got flowers from all over the country congratulating me for that, which was unexpected. And there were a number of national roles that came up for me around that time. And I made a very deliberate choice that wasn't right for me as the mum of a young child, and that my absolute priority was my baby, my child. And I remember having a very good conversation with a national chief executive who said to me, Rachel, you shouldn't worry about this at all because your priority is right and it's right for now. So, although this is a fabulous job, it's hugely diverse. I've got a massive range of things to think about. I would say to people, your dream doesn't have to just be work. Your dream is going to be around a whole range of lifestyle issues and choices. And don't be in too much of a hurry to just do the job, because actually life's a journey and there are fabulous experiences along the way which we all want to cherish and enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We've actually got a question from a member of our audience, Kavita, and she's asked, how do you keep up with the pressure, Rachel?
Toffee, Kavita, is my go-to answer. Lovely toffee. So what I would say is it's really important to have a good team around you. So this is a hard job, right? So what I say to my own team is the reason we get paid a lot of money in these jobs is that they're hard. They're really tough. We've got £1 billion budget, 4,000 staff, probably 250 statutory obligations, services that are never fully fixed because that's the nature of big service roles. So I think you've got to have a really good team around you. I think for me, I'm try and be as in tune as I can with my own stress. I think that's really important. I know that if I start to feel a bit wobbly, I'm probably due some time off. And one of the things about the last year and the pandemic is it's been very hard to get time off. It's felt like a 24/7 job because it's been tough. It's been tough. We're tired. Lots of us are tired, aren't we? Across lots of sectors for the last year. But yes, I love reading. So I read 3 books, two books some weeks, 3 books most weeks. I enjoy spending time with Charlie, my 11-year-old, and you've got to be in the moment with your kids, haven't you? So that's a great stress reliever. And because of the pandemic and lockdown and the boredom bit of that, I've really embraced Netflix more than I ever would have thought possible.
What's your favourite, Rachel?
Well, I asked this question to colleagues in the council because I want a running list of things. So I'm currently watching something called Condor. I am getting to the bottom of my list now. So if anybody on the call has got any suggestions, email me in the council and tell me. I know Bridgerton is supposed to be very good and people speak very highly. Yeah.
Highly recommended.
Bit racy, I understand. Bit racy, but yeah. I mean, stress is a fact of life, and I think anybody that says to you, "I don't get stressed in my job," whatever our job actually, I worked behind a bar when I was a student. That was stressful. Jobs are stressful. For me, it's about recognising it and trying to diffuse it, and sometimes it all gets a bit much. And I think that's because I'm human.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. We are having some really interesting and varied questions. Have I got a little bit more time with you?
You can have as much time as you like. I'll just tell Charlie.
Fantastic.
I'll tell Charlie he needed to wait a bit, but
sorry, Charlie. Forgive us, Charlie.
He's a great supporter of women, my son, as you would expect.
Oh, bless him. So I've got a question here from Hannah, who is from Box Food Partnership. And she said, thank you very much, Rachel. I'm currently pregnant, and it's made me realise that being pregnant is of benefit to my workplace, not just something they should protect, but something that helps the organisation to be a better one and to do better work. I think that's the same kind of thing as you supporting your son. It seems that all aspects of diversity reflect that. If we bring all aspects of ourselves and are made to feel comfortable too, then our organisations are all better. Would you agree?
Well, I kind of agree. I mean, I guess I've thought about this quite a lot because I use my own experience and some anecdotes from my own life with colleagues in my own organisation. I think for me, there's a bit of a balance there. So showing yourself to be human is a good thing. If for instance, I had a tragic incident at home, I wouldn't want to play that out completely, but I would want to tell people who were close to me. And, you know, I have talked in the past about experience from my own past without going into lots of detail around the impact of mental health, domestic abuse, discrimination and so on, because I think it's important for us to make a connection with people and to do that in a way that is real and meaningful and recognises the lived experience of everybody, even if that's not the same lived experience as myself. So I definitely think using positively, and the pregnancy example is a great one. You know, the other example I give at this point in my life is menopause. So recognising the impact on women in the workplace and outside of menopause, I think is important. So in my organisation, we're doing menopause cafes. We want to, I do think this is one of the last taboos we've got actually as big employers, small employers. So I do think using that experience to almost give people permission to talk about some of those issues is really important.
Oh, do you know what? That's a really insightful point, because as you said, we don't talk about menopause, we don't talk about getting older, we just kind of accept it and we kind of roll with it. And if we don't talk about it, we don't make it real. I've got 2 more questions and then I will stop. So this is a really interesting one from Patti Boule. So Pat, thank you for this one. Do you have unconscious bias from men in your organisation?
Well, I have to say, it's hard to know, isn't it, if it's unconscious bias. I don't experience anything of that nature in my organisation, I have to say. All of my colleagues, irrespective of their gender, are respectful, professional. I absolutely have not seen that. I would say earlier on in my career, and it wasn't so much unconscious, it was very obvious bias. So I used to have a colleague who patted me on the head some years ago. I had another colleague who, one occasion, stroked my hair. I did say to both of these individuals at the time, "What on earth do you think you're doing?" There was an expletive in there, as you can imagine. So I think the subject of unconscious bias, you know, do we all have an element of unconscious bias given our upbringing and our own experience? And I guess for me, I try and consciously think about, have I got a bias about this person's age, gender, race, religion, and, you know, how might that be manifest in itself? So in the organisation I'm in now, we've set up a series of equality networks which are all run by our staff, because they can hold the mirror up to us as an organisation, and also ensure that we are as absolutely inclusive as we can be, and ensure we've got equality of opportunity for all our colleagues, and that we recognise and celebrate difference. So that's part of my small contribution, I suppose, to recognising that unconscious bias may well exist. I'm just smiling at the chat. I'm looking at some of the comments we've put in the chat bar, and Mimi's cheeks getting squeezed when she was younger made me smile.
Oh, bless. So thank you again for that one as well. I think let's have another one. So what's the next stop on your roadmap? That's from Stephanie.
Well, other than winning the lottery, and if I did win the lottery, I'd definitely do charitable work, because I would really enjoy that. And one of the things I'd love to do, I'm in Fantasyland now, of course, I'd love to have lots and lots of fantastic green open spaces that were free for access for everybody, because when you are when you've not got a lot of money, or you've got young kids, or both, you just need to get out and enjoy beautiful places. So green agenda is really important to me. So on that roadmap, I guess at some point I might do something completely different to this thing I'm doing now. I've done this for a long time. It's an interesting fact that in councils, 75% of employees are female, and just over 30% of chief executives are female. Go figure. So, you know, I do always want to do some work around encouraging others to develop, whether they're male or female. I think that's really important to me. But at some point, I think I would like to do something completely different.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of writing a book?
I probably have too many non-disclosure agreements from ex-employers who might not like me to say that. But yes, I would like to do something very, very different at some point.
That just leads me on to my very final question for this segment. So thank you so much. So this is from Natasha. What's your favourite book, Rachel?
Well, what I'm going to go with, so I read fiction because I love escaping into books. And as a kid with quite a difficult background, quite a difficult childhood, I think books made me more resilient. I don't know if other people listening can identify with that, but that sense of escapism was really important to me and continues to be as a stress management tool. So I love fiction, but actually I also love Alan Bennett. And the reason I like Alan Bennett is because he had an upbringing in Yorkshire that makes me smile, because it reminds me of my early childhood when I lived with my mum as a single parent in Yorkshire, and I can hear the voices of my families coming through some of his narratives. So I'm going to go with Alan Bennett, Untold Stories, as a book that I cherish.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your questions and answers. You know, it's been brilliant, really insightful. Really, really insightful.
It's lovely to be with you. I just wish we were all together in one room and we could share our stories and experiences, but maybe next year.
Next year. Definitely next year. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could I just ask, have we, from everybody who's controlling the timekeeping at the other end of this, on the other side of the screen, do we have actually any more time? And Rachel, have you got a few more minutes? Because there's a couple of questions on here that are really, really important, and I just wondered if you've got the time to answer them. It might be quite a good idea just to sort of whack those out to you, if that's possible.
Yes, of course.
And timekeeping wise, somebody just whisper in my ear or send me a message. But one of the questions we've got here from Maxine is, how do you look after your employees with mental health issues, especially now during the pandemic? And I think that is something that is on the top of everybody's mind, and not just employees, it's all of us in the community who are really, really having issues with mental health. And that includes myself.
I think we all have, haven't we? I mean, I think if you live through a global pandemic in the way we have, how could it not impact on your mental health? How could it not? I mean, in those first weeks, Mimi, I woke up with my heart racing thinking, this can't be real. You know, we all had that real shock, didn't we? So whether it's anxiety or depression, I think, you know, at various points in any given day or week, we're all going to feel a bit of that. So in terms of the workforce, the colleagues I work with, we've actually done a tremendous amount on mental health. One of the most powerful things I think we've done is we've named it, we've talked about it, we've been very open about it. We've done lots of other things, like we've put in place mental health champions, we've put time to talk, we've got mental health first aiders, we've run some sessions, we've run mindfulness. There's lots of things we've done. But I think one of the very powerful things we can do with mental health, as with other taboo subjects, is surface it, you know. How's your mental health? How are you doing? And one of the things that I did in the early part of the pandemic when we were all still in shock is I did a daily Monday to Friday video for staff, and I just chatted away. So there was always work stuff because it was for work, but I chatted away about how I was feeling, about how some days I was finding it difficult. These were some of the things that I've done. And, you know, the sense of engagement we got from our workforce was really tremendous, because not just me, but lots of our colleagues started to do that very open discussion through the Teams medium. Yes. To really just acknowledge how we all were and to encourage people to seek support and advice from either their work network or their personal network, but just to talk about how they were feeling. So, you know, we take the mental health and well-being of our colleagues really seriously in the council, and indeed we should do in society, shouldn't we? And so we are doing lots of work on that for the public, because, you know, the referral rates for CAMS for children and adolescents and also for adults have gone up, will continue to go up.
Indeed, indeed. No, thank you for that, because I think it's really, really important to tackle that issue. We've put it on the agenda. We've started talking about it. Now let's have the conversation and make it commonplace as opposed to taboo, which it always has been. There's another question on here from a man. It's from Bharat Sarolia, who says, do you think the UK and the world would be better off if women actually were the majority on boards of companies and organisations?
Well, do you know, I think that whoever's on the boards, I would say they've got to be A, competent and capable, and B, representative. So, you know, that'll mean men and women. It will mean people with different ethnic backgrounds. You know, so do I like the idea of all male or female anything? Not really, actually. So, you know, if my team was all female, if they happened to be all female because they were all the right people for the jobs when we interviewed fair dues, but I like the sense of mixing. You know, I also like the sense of not everybody's the same. So in my own team, I've got a real mix of personalities, mix of learning styles, mix of communication styles. I think that's really healthy. I think any board or organisation that has just got one perspective is inevitably going to miss stuff. And actually, you know, the world is made up of diversity. So let's bring it together and understand different perspectives and then think about the best solution for any given issue or problem. So I wouldn't want all female or all male anything, actually, in running something. I think that mix is what makes it rich and interesting.
Absolutely. So I've got, and I'm really taking advantage here, Rachel, so forgive me, please. It says here from an anonymous attendee, what would you say to a young woman or a man to encourage them?
Well, I think I'd say, you know, I'd use the words of the earlier speaker on the video, which is you've just got to recognise your own potential to achieve. Now, that doesn't mean to say that you will achieve, right? So we've all got potential. We've all got innate potential, but we've got to work our socks off to achieve. Achievement doesn't come without effort, does it? You know, we've all got to really think about the thing that you're passionate about. You know, I really have enjoyed some of the jobs I've done in my life. I enjoyed cleaning, and I still quite like cleaning, actually. I find it quite therapeutic.
You're welcome round here anytime.
Thanks so much. My partner, who does all the stuff in the house, because he doesn't work and I work, does the cleaning in our house, but he often forgets to put his glasses on. So I have to go around afterwards, you know, because my eyesight's better. So, you know, I've enjoyed those jobs. I really enjoyed this job. I think for us, we've got to find the thing that makes our soul soar. What's the thing that you really like doing? Because you're going to be working a long time. You're going to be working a long time. You've got to love what you're doing at least 70% of the time and then go all out to achieve that. It doesn't have to be a massively high-flying, well-paid thing. It has to be something that makes your soul soar. But you've got to work hard for it if you want to achieve.
Absolutely. Alka wants to know if there are any development courses or modules that can help women develop their skill sets. And that is the final question for you.
So there are various courses and sessions, aren't there, for people to develop their skill set. But I guess I would go back to trying to identify somebody who you trust and respect, who you think works in a way that you want to, in part at least, emulate, who can give you some time and has the bandwidth to sit down with you and really think through where you want to go, what you want to do, and to identify what skills you want to develop. Now, we're all naturally good at some things, aren't we, and not so good at others. And one of the challenges for us, particularly in senior roles, is that you kind of have to be seen to be good at everything. So you've got to be great at the money, you've got to be good at understanding performance information, you've got to be a great manager of people, you've got to be a great speaker, you've got to be convincing, and, you know, all this is really hard. None of us is born able to do all of that stuff. We learn over time. We learn over time. So the person I am today in terms of my job, could I have done it like this 30 years ago? Absolutely no chance. No chance. I was like a bull in a china shop 30 years ago. And I've been able to develop and hone skills in large part because I've had very wise counsel from people who've been there, done that, got a perspective that they've been willing to share. So courses are great, and giving yourself time and space to do that learning is absolutely magical. But if you can't do that for whatever reason, it might be financial, it might be that your employer won't support that, find somebody to mentor you would be my very strong advice.
Absolutely right. And could I just give Bucks Adult Learning a bit of a plug, because they do some fantastic courses, I know, because I've benefited. And also, Olga, if you keep an eye on what we're doing as an organisation, because we will also be running training and with courses to help you to develop as well. So Rachel, I cannot thank you enough for giving up your time and for just sharing you with us. It's been fantastic to get to know you better as well. And thank you for your very inspiring speech. And I love the fact, I mean, networking has always been my middle name. Love networking. I think the benefits of networking are enormous. I love the fact that you say, don't be afraid to go and ask somebody for help if that's what you need. And don't be afraid to ask them to mentor you as well. If there's someone you admire, go for it. And do you know what the best piece of advice is that you've given today? Toffee and good people, because that will always keep you out of a sticky situation. Bless you, Rachael Shimmin. Thank you very, very much indeed for joining us this evening on the Women's Forum for our celebration of International Women's Day. It's been such a joy and such a pleasure to have your company. Thank you, Rachel. And I'm sure
thanks so much. And I look forward to watching the whole lot back later.
Go and enjoy your evening.
And now to be mother.
Yes, go and be mother. And we're really grateful to you for your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Could I also just thank Soundarya as well for introducing Rachel this evening? That was brilliant. Thank you so much. The next part of the programme is actually going to be Poonam, who's going to be reading a little poem to us. And I think, can I thank everybody first for taking part in that poll? That was excellent. Thank you very much indeed. We're going to move on because we've got another excellent speaker and we've also got the Young Women's panel. We want to make sure we've got time to fit everything in. So Poonam, I'm going to call upon you to read a poem.
Thank you so much. So when Mimi asked me to think of a inspiring woman, I thought about it, and then I thought this is the first person that popped into my head. And I want to say a little bit about her because I want to pay homage to her. She's not just an amazing woman, but she's one that actually has lived during my lifetime and perhaps many of the people who are here today as well. This lady dedicated all her adult life in India, initially teaching and then tending to the poorest of the poor. Her face was a picture that first popped into my head, and I'm wondering if anybody else is visualizing this as I'm speaking. But she is no other than the world's best moral compass, Mother Teresa. The poem that I'm about to read is one that was actually written on her wall in her children's home in Calcutta, and it goes something like this. So, people are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some unfaithful friends, and some genuine enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest anyway. What you spend years creating, others could destroy overnight. Create anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, some may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today will often be forgotten. Do good anyway. Give the best you have and it will never be enough. Give your best anyway. In the final days, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. That particular poem, when I was looking into it, really resonated with me. And I really do admire the work and the values that Mother Teresa represents. And even though I have only read about her, I've never actually had the chance to meet her. I'm not sure how many people know, but Mimi here with us has actually had the opportunity to not only volunteer or work with her, but she's actually volunteered at her children's home in Calcutta itself. Isn't that right, Mimi?
Yes, that is absolutely right. And you know, it was the biggest family secret forever, because I couldn't.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore. In fact, it was when she was beatified that the family found out what I'd been doing, because I just didn't feel I could say anything, because it was only on the days when the driver was free to take me there. And I remember him coming in one day and he's knocking on the grill and saying, "Didi, I can take you now." So I said, really? And he said, yes. And I said, okay, let's go. So I went, and that was the beginning of a very, very beautiful journey for me. And that poem, when you were reading it, it summarizes for me everything that my life is about. I complain a lot about the knocks and about people not remembering the things that you do and all this sort of stuff. But then I remember those words, and it makes me realize it doesn't matter. The reason I do things is not because, you know, I want the words from here or the words from there. It's because I want to do them. And therefore do them. I want to be a good person, so be a good person. I want to make a difference in our community, so do something to make that difference. And that is, you know, that is the whole be all and end all of my life. I have to say, it is my ethos, it is my values, and it is my principles. And she always called everyone child. And we had the pleasure, Robin, I think his eyes nearly popped out, traveling back after I'd finished working with her. I came back to this country, and we were going to Calcutta via Bombay. And there she was with her entourage, and she saw me, and she hadn't seen me for a good couple of years. And she called me over and she said, child, where have you been? Yeah. So I paid my respects to her in the normal way by touching her feet, touching my head, touching my chest, and, you know, my heart. And I just said, Mother, I had to go back home. I had to be back with my family. And, you know, and here I am because I'm introducing my fiance to my family to make sure that we're not too insane for him. And she laughed and she smiled and she chuckled and she blessed me. And we had a photo. And that is so beautiful. And she remembered. She never forgets anybody.
That is nice. It's just so nice to have. Just listening to you speak, I'm getting goosebumps, you know, and I'm sure that is the case for a lot of the people here today who are visiting, because she's, you know, she's the kind of person, she's so angelic, and you just feel warmed just by looking at that picture and you're talking about it. I'm just feeling this ray of warmth going right through me. And
I'm
so
trying not to cry. There's a lump in my throat, my eyes have filled up, and I'm sort of thinking, gosh, because it really touches me that I was so privileged, and I never realized it at the time. It was just one of those things that you did.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and this is, and I think that is, you know, that poem in particular, when I was reading through it, you know, it's something that not just resonated with me, but I think it will resonate with anybody who volunteers in whatever, whichever field they volunteer in.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Poonam, can I just say thank you so much for reading such a beautiful poem, one of my favorite poems, and the poem that has absolutely shaped my life and made me the person I am today. So I thank you for that. Really touched. Thank you. Bless you. Thank you, Poonam. And before I become an absolute blubbering mess, it's time to move on. We have got, let me see, oh my goodness me, we've got the next part of our evening, and we've got another amazing, simply sensational speaker. So I'm now going to hand over to Claudette, who is going to introduce our next fantastic speaker for you for this evening. Claudette, it's over to you.
Thank you, Mimi. I hope you're all enjoying so far. So, well, let's go. Our next guest is the wonderful, multi-talented Patti Boule, singer, author, actress, and so much more. Patti was awarded an OBE in 2016 in Her Majesty the Queen's Birthdays Honours List for her charity work in the UK and Sub-Sahara Africa, having set up her charity Support for Africa, which has built 5 health clinics and a school. Patti was awarded a visiting teaching fellowship from Middlesex University, and in 2018 an honorary doctorate degree for services to arts and education. During her performance career, Patti has released many albums, singles, made over 200 TV appearances, producing her own show for Channel 4 in the 80s, performing at the London Palladium and the Royal Albert Hall. She's appeared extensively on the West End stage and toured in her one-woman sellout shows, Billy and Me and Aretha and Me. Patti published her autobiography, The Face of a Child, in 2017. She's currently the founder and the managing director of the hugely successful Vipada Academy, a program helping towards personal development and building self-confidence. It is with great pleasure to introduce Patti Boule.
Hi. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Claudette. Thank you for that introduction. Mimi, can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you yet. Have you got your camera switched on, please, Patti? Because we all want to see you.
It is on.
Hey, there we go. Oh, you fabulous lady. Where have you been all this time? Well, I've missed your company. I really have. I'm going to hand over to you now to talk about your wonderful life. You look stunning, as always.
Look who's talking. I was going to say, Mimi, have you gone back years? Because you stunning. Thank you so much for that introduction, Claudette. I really appreciate that. Gosh, that, you know, sometimes when you hear yourself being introduced, you really can't recognize yourself. I've been around too long. That's the problem. It was such a pleasure to hear Rachel. I'm sorry I had problem actually coming onto the Zoom because I didn't hear the other speakers, but it was great to hear Rachel, you know, and to hear her answer all the questions. Well, let me just tell you a little bit about me and my experiences, and I start with challenges as you requested, Mimi. And before I do that, I'd like to say I apologize because I've just set up this corner so I can talk to you because we're covered in boxes everywhere. We just moved house and my head is all woolly. Okay, well, anyway, I grew up in Nigeria doing, you know, I was just getting into my teens when we got into the Biafra War. And I saw things that actually set me up for life, you know, and my mother was amazing. You know, she wouldn't let us dwell on the bad things. One of the crazy things I saw, if I may share this with you, I don't want to depress anyone in this lockdown, was we were being shelled. And if I may say, there were over 2 million of us were murdered or killed or massacred. We were being shelled, and it was unfortunate because this poor pregnant woman, I don't know, you know, she probably didn't take covering time, but shrapnel had cut open her stomach and she was lying dead, and her baby was still attached to the umbilical cord lying next to her. This is one of the things, I mean, so many things, which is why I wrote my book, The Faith of a Child. It's difficult to tell people these things without, you know, visualizing them yourself. But my mother taught us to leave the past to the past. She always said that you only have this moment. Tomorrow is not yet born. And yesterday, you only learn from yesterday. Do not dwell on yesterday. So apart from experiencing, you know, a civil war, which I have to say that everything I've experienced in my life has made me stronger. Okay, because life is a journey of learning. It's a journey of growing. And if it's easy, you're not learning, you're not growing. Life is just by nature difficult. But in those difficult times, it's amazing what you can achieve, how you grow. I mean, it's like taking a piece of gold nugget, you know, beating it up, burning it, melting it, and then turning it into something beautiful. The only way I can describe life. I was bullied at school. So were so many people. But you know what? That kind of taught me how to handle people. That was good training for show business. Because show business is about, you know, people bully you all the time. And so I learned how to handle that. I was never afraid of anything. Still not afraid of anything. If you've been through a war and you've been through a civil war and you've been bombed, come on. What is there to be afraid of? People? No. Okay. So when I hear about Women's International Day, and I actually always think, where are we going with this? Or what are we achieving? What is there to achieve? What is to achieve is to be alive, to affect other people and have a positive effect on them. Bring up children that would be a credit to you and a credit to the world. That's the way I see it. Okay. And then I left my home and my country, Nigeria, and came to England on holidays. There were still signs in the early 80s saying, no dogs, no blacks, no Irish. Now, it's not something I had obviously encountered in Africa, but I didn't know what they meant. I thought they meant that they serve dogs, blacks and Irish. And I'm thinking, gosh, I didn't know we were cannibals in England, you know? So I just, to me, it was a joke. I thought, well, I don't want to eat any blacks or any dogs or any Irish. And people say they're being racist. And I said, well, you know, racism is for, come on, it's for idiots. Let's be honest, you know, because we're all one. We're created all one. We live on the same earth. Nobody's living outside the earth. We all live here, which makes us all equal. That's in my opinion. And when we die, where do we go? 6 feet under. Every single one of us. I don't care who you are. You end up 6 feet under. What's there to be frightened of? Therefore, I decided that what I have to do is concentrate on me. Okay? Find my own focus, my own inner focus, my own confidence. Oh, come on, I don't have to find it. We are all born with confidence. Let's face it, women. Women are born with confidence. Okay, you have to bring up children. You have to look after children. You have to train them. You have to nurture them. That includes the men. So every man and child, for me, is my child. That's what my mother taught me. She said, you're a woman, whether you have children of your own or not. When you grow up, everyone is your child. And I appreciated that because, again, that helped me to cope, to overcome challenges. As a matter of fact, sometimes I don't even see the challenges. I think it was Rachel who said she didn't. Unconscious bias. The word, I don't understand the word unconscious bias, because if you're biased, you are biased. Okay, if you're racist, you're racist. I mean, there's nothing unconscious about it. It's just your upbringing. Okay, so I don't look at what others do, because people, I think to myself, if you can think it, you can do it. Because I believe there's a spirit living in this body. This is just a shell, okay? And that spirit is incredible, not to mention incredibly beautiful, incredibly strong, incredibly powerful. So what you let out your spirit, what you let your spirit do is what it will do. If you want your spirit to be strong, it'll be strong. If you make your spirit weak, it'll be weak. These are all my opinions. I have had to form these opinions in order to cope with show business. Believe me, they say there's no business like show business, and they're so right. I don't know why it is so. Perhaps it's because, as I have learned, it belongs here. You're touching people's soul. You're touching people's spirit. And I learned most of the things that I have learned that helped me to face life in my last, for my 65 years of existence, actually 66 years of existence. I learned those from my elders. I was surrounded by very strong women. They didn't box things. You take life as it comes. If there is, when the pandemic started and the lockdown started, okay, so I took it one day at a time. One day at a time. Because I did not know what was going to happen. If I had worried about it, I guess I would have just torn my hair out completely, really. As I didn't know what was going to happen, I really didn't, it didn't affect me. If they say there's another lockdown tomorrow, hey, that's good with me. As long as I'm breathing, I'm fine. And as long as my loved ones are okay. That's how I handle most things that I come across in my life. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I've been a wife for 44 years. I'm a stepmother of 4 daughters. Stepmother of 4 daughters. Step-grandmother of 8. Grandmother of 2. But step-grandmother of 8. I just take, I come from a very large family. I had done my society before I left home. Success came to me when I came to England, and it came by accident. So I learned from that I'm not completely in control. I admire women who think they are in control. Oh my goodness. I am not in control of my future. All I do is the door opens, I put my foot firmly in it, and I would not let go. Just not in control. Who would have thought that I would be moving house during a lockdown? If I was in control of that, I would not be moving a house during lockdown. So there is a lot that I know I am not in control of. My career has been a blessing. It has been a blessing. Oh my goodness, my career has taught me, increased my confidence, boundless confidence. I have learned that nobody's better than me, nobody's less than me. In the entertainment industry, it gives you humility. Some people just get so big-headed. I don't see where they get it from. I found humility in how you can touch people, how you can change people's lives. You know, when people say you're a role model, I hate that word, but I suppose in a sense, people are watching you. I'm careful what I do. When I started in show business, it was tough, I noticed, for Black people in show business. And then I was determined that no matter what happens, anyone who employs me will look forward to employing the next Black person. It's a shame to say that because, you know, it's not a Black thing. We're all humans, but that is the way it goes. Like we were talking about, you know, people being prejudiced because you're a woman or a man or whatever. You know, when I was 16 and I came to England, I remember someone saying to me, oh, I could make you a star. And I thought, I was naive, but I'm glad I was. And I said, I took a good look at him and I thought, that's very kind of you, but if you could make me a star, how come you're not one? I know that was naive, but hey, that's the way, you know, these women talking about Me Too movement. And I'm going to say something, Mimi, forgive me, but this is how I used to quote with, you know, actually somebody mentioned it yesterday and said to me, you know, when men touch you up. I said, touch me up? I said, the minute I see any kind of indication of that in any man's eyes, I just say to them, you know where I come from? If you molest us, we just deprive you of a wedding tackle. Full stop. We don't mess around. That usually makes people step back. When I say people, it makes a man's leg cross. The idea of losing his accoutrement is not on the agenda. So that's how, you know, I've had different ways. I know, I'm belittling it, but that is how I handled it. I gave myself inner focus. I had to train myself because of the elderly women all around me. They were so focused on who they were. They had boundless confidence. And I, you know, people say to me now in show business, when I was little, you know, people say to me now, we couldn't believe you were so young and the things you came out with. And I say to them, well, I was always this age. I was never young. I was always 66. When I'm 70, I was always 70. When I'm 90, if God allows me to get up to 90, I was always 90. That's how I cope with it. My advice to women is you have so much strength. Oh my gosh. Come on. You're created to bring up children, to carry a child, bring the child up, nurture it. Actually push a child through you, from you. Oh, whoa, come on. If I can do that, I want to see anybody, man or woman, stand in front of me and give me any kind of lip because they get it right back. Seriously, I'm just a no-nonsense person. I'm very kind, but I don't like to be pushed too far. Don't push me so far. I give people credit for whatever, but respect and consideration is top of the list for me. Now, I would encourage people that if you can think it, you can do it. Like Rachel said, it takes hard work. Oh boy, it takes hard work. But I tell you what, the harder you work, the more enjoyable it is when you have achieved it. I do everything. I do everything. And I never stop. I don't stop. Why should I stop? If it comes into my head, I have to find a way of doing it, no matter what it is. Now, my final advice is don't look at anybody else. Never look at what anybody else is doing. Why? You know, you are like a piece of puzzle. We are all. We only fit into a mold which was created for us, no one else. If somebody has a good idea, look at it and think, does it work for me? If it doesn't, don't follow it because they are such good talkers. No. You have to follow what is good for you. I have never followed, I'm sorry, movements are not for me. Isms are not for me. Patti is for me. The spirit is for me. God Almighty is for me. So stay strong. Watch and listen. Take advice from the right people. Thank you, Mimi.
Well, thank you so much. My goodness me, I'm sitting here absolutely spellbound listening to you. Do you know, you are just, you're just a bundle of energy and of fire and of enthusiasm and passion. And it's just so great to have you here with us this evening. I'm just going to say to everybody, we are running a little bit over, but I hope that's okay, because we've just, you know, we've got here, dear Patti, you're an incredible lady. God bless you. If you could bottle the essence of Patti and then spray over the planet as beautiful perfume, the whole world would be a better place. I mean, this is what you're doing for people, inspiring and just encouraging us to just feel amazing. Again, here we are. You are so inspiring. Loved listening to you. Powerful and honest. Thank you. It's true. When you say the things that you say, I love the way that you describe things. You know, if you can think it, you can do it. I'm going to adopt that. I'm definitely going to adopt that myself. And then you also talk about women having so much strength. We forget how much strength we've got, don't we? We really do. So I've got a question here from Soundarya. She says, you've gone through so much. How have you healed yourself from all of this?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Yes, and she says, do you have any methods to keep yourself, you know, to keep your spirit up?
That's the word, spirit. Okay. That's the word, spirit. You see, I believe that yesterday, okay, think about it. Today is the tomorrow we were worried about yesterday, right? And here we are. I bet you, Mimi, you were thinking, how's this going to go? And this has gone perfectly well. So, you know, what you cannot see, don't worry about it. What you cannot see, as long as you're alive, it's like, be gracious, be grateful to God for what you have right now. Okay, just, oh my goodness, embrace the moments. Put joy in your heart. Keep your spirit up, because there's nothing that can get you down unless you let it. Think about that. You have to give it permission before it can bring you down. And I do not, no. If something worries me, suddenly I go, where did that come from? Get thee behind me, Satan. You know, there's no, you know, I don't put any lines on this face. I just go, no, you're not going to put lines on my face. So go. Even the things that I saw a young man set a light, burned alive. You know, I saw different things, but you have to remember that there's good and bad in everyone, in humans. And the only way to keep yourself sane is to focus on yourself. You be good. Because if you're good, your environment becomes good. Your aura, your light begins to shine to everyone. Your light begins to spread. And the happier you are, believe me, life will try and get you down. Wherever there's good, there is evil. Therefore, do not let darkness in. I'm sorry. I just say darkness has no place in me or in my life. There you go. That's how I
Brilliant. Well, I've got a load of questions here, so we're going to do a quick fire round if that's okay. So this is from Grace, and she says, who was your biggest inspiration that helped to get you to where you are today?
Oh, Grace, I have to say, if it's someone earthly, I would say my mother. And if it's someone unearthly, oh, give me Jesus anytime. I'm a Jesus groupie. Jesus anytime. You know, when I left England and came, my country, and came to England, got into show business, I talked to him every day. I think people thought I was crazy because I would openly just talk to him. I say to him, okay, because my mother calls him a good shepherd, the best friend. He is my best friend. So I say to him, Lord, you surely you can handle this. Look at these little peep squeaks here giving me, you know, this grief. I say, you're greater than them. You can handle this. And then I let him do it. That's how I handle it. Yeah. My inspiration.
No, fantastic. Another question here from Hannah. Have you ever had stage fright? How do you deal with it? Because she gets very nervous in front of people.
Hannah, Bokudo. Plenty of stage fright, Hannah. It's what you call the fear of the unknown. And also, I've realized that if you have stage fright, actually, it helps you. It makes people endear to you, okay? Endear themselves to you. Because, it was an old actor, Michael Dennison, who said to me, when I said to him, why do I get so frightened before I go on stage? He said, it makes you seem vulnerable. He said, look at every star there's ever been. There is a vulnerability about them. Every big star, Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, Edith Piaf.
Yeah.
you know, there's a vulnerability about them. So don't worry about being nervous, darling. It's part of the game, okay? Just use it for your own good. Do what I do. Stand behind the stage and say, Holy Spirit of God, listen, come on, we've got a show to do. You better do this show for me. And then when it goes wrong, I blame the Holy Spirit. So on you go.
Fabulous. Natasha says, I remember you very well from New Faces in the late 70s. I was so pleased when you got a maximum score. I'm pretty sure it was a maximum score. Hang on, it's not moving around. It was a long time. I remember being very inspired. Thank you. Were there any particular challenges from that time as a Black woman, and how did you overcome them?
Oh, challenges, darling. No. You see, Patti, I'm sorry. I don't want to say I'm arrogant, because I'm the least arrogant person, I think. But quite honestly, I'm sorry, I don't see myself as a Black person. It's only when I see a mirror, I realize I'm Black. I'm like everybody else.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm a beautiful child of God, you know. I just think, I love this business. Show me anyone who can be as good as Patti. That's the way. Show me anyone who can be as good as Patti. You can do that. Otherwise, you just die of nerves, you know.
Yes. Yes, absolutely right. I agree with you. Shah says, Shah 5 this is, do you have daily practices that keep you on track?
Yes. Sean, it's called prayer. It's called prayer, honey. I tell you what, I pray literally, I don't know how many times a day. I don't, you know, sometimes I just kneel down, pray, and I light a candle. What I do is, every time people say light candles or come across, you know, think of things and write them down, that's good things. No, I light a candle every time something good happens during the day. Because every time I walk by my prayer place and I see a candle burning or 10 candles, I'm going, hey, we're on a roll today. Yeah.
Brilliant. And I've got somebody who's remained anonymous. How does your faith help you in your life? It sounds to me like it's a very big part of your life.
It's number one. I couldn't cope. You know, I don't know how people without, okay, when the lockdown started, one of the TV directors from Towie, I don't know what Towie is, but that's what he did. Anyway, called me and said, oh, you know, it's ridiculous. My brain is not working. Somehow I can't focus. I said to him, okay, just calm down. Take a deep breath. I said, because this lockdown, this was last March, actually a year ago. And I said to him, the earth needs to renew herself. Sunday was a rest day. We turned it into a market day. And we're not resting. The earth is not resting. I said to him, just calm down and everything will be okay. And I was right.
I am so with you on that one. I was one of the great campaigners against Sunday opening, but there we go. Patti, that's just been amazing. Thank you so much. I don't know if you can stay with us for the rest of the evening, but we've got the young ladies panel. It's be the next sort of half an hour or so. I'm going to wrap up with this segment now, but I just want you to hear this. Somebody's written in the chat bar, I'm going to replay this again and again every day. You are so inspiring, Patti Boule. Lots of love to you. Isn't that lovely? So, and this is what you bring with you, and this is why I never forget you, because you just bring that sunshine into people's lives. You're a happy soul. You're an amazing person. I love the advice that you've given today, and I love the fact that if you can think it, you can do it. Thank you, Patti Boule, for being the most brilliant guest. Thank you for coming along and joining us on the BAME Network Women's Forum International Women's Day celebration. And we're going to move on with our program, if that's okay. And Patti's going to stay with us. And we're going to move on, and we're going to have the young women's panel now. So all of you lovely young women who've come in today to talk to us, I'm going to hand over to B and to Claudette, please, at this point, to take us forward to the next bit. Apologies to everybody, we are running over time, but I hope you agree it's absolutely worth it, and I hope you can stay with us to the end. It'd be great to have your company all the way through. So B and Claudette.
Thank you so much, Mimi. Patti, an inspiration, an absolute joy to listen to. I don't even know how I'm going to even try and compliment your energy, but you know what? You are infectious. So I think each and every one of us is going to take at least something. Just keep doing what you're doing, because it's magic.
And you're always so stunning. You're always so stunning, Patti.
Always.
God, my dear. Grace of
Presentation so important. Lovely.
Bless you. So moving on, we're still taking on the theme of energy. And I'm just going to very gently introduce some amazing young women. So as a communities officer, I coordinate and I support a youth town council in Buckinghamshire, which I suppose during the pandemic, pretty much like everyone else, we've had to adapt to this Zoom way of communicating. And for all intents and purposes, it's actually worked really, really well. I found that the voices of young people often go unheard. So part of my own commitment to International Women's Day, I'm facilitating a space to listen. So this evening, we're joined by 5 amazing young women who will appear on our screens, thanks to technology. And these amazing young women have chosen to share just, I'd say, a snippet of what inspires and challenges them. And I, for one, I'm really excited to hear from them. So without further ado, let me introduce you. So, young panel, are you ready? I would like to introduce Arushi.
Hiya.
Hello, Arushi. Can we see your face? I can't see your face.
Can you see me now?
I can see her.
Can you? Okay, yeah. Perfect. Arushi, would you mind just saying a little hello and just telling us maybe a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. Hi, I'm Arushi. I'm 21. I was an ex-member of Youth Parliament for South Buckinghamshire, and I'm so excited to be here. I cannot stop smiling after listening to Patti, so I look forward to the discussions we have so far.
Brilliant, fantastic. Thank you very much. And Hannah, welcome on board.
Hi, I'm Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
How are you, Hannah, today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Do you know, I'm not too bad, actually. Pretty much like Arushi said, I've got the killer smile going on, so I'm really good. Yeah. And then we're very gently going to move on to Rebecca.
Hi, Ben.
Hi. Rebecca.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm well, thank you. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So I'm Rebecca. I'm 27. I grew up just outside of Aylesbury and went to school in Buckinghamshire. I'm now doing my PhD in engineering at Cambridge University, and really glad to be part of the discussions today. Really had some great speakers, so thanks for having me.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And then moving on to Sasha. Good evening, Sasha. How are you?
Evening. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. So my name's Sasha. I'm 27, and I currently work in comms and media for Buckinghamshire Council. And I love cats, and my favourite food is pizza.
I love that. What flavour pizza?
Oh, ham and pineapple. Pineapple belongs on pizza, 100%.
No way.
100%. 100%.
We can't talk right now.
No pineapple.
And last but not least, we have Zara. Good evening, Zara. Welcome to the panel.
Hello, I'm Zara.
Hi, Zara.
I'm 18 and I'm currently doing my final year at A-levels.
Fantastic. What are you studying at A-levels?
I'm studying history, law and ethics philosophy.
Fantastic. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this is our lovely panel, and Claudette, I will hand over to you for some amazing questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, B. Thank you,
No
B.
problem.
Welcome the panel. You feeling inspired so far? You feeling inspired, the panel?
Definitely.
Yeah, really good. Some really good speakers. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, as our young panel, I'm going to ask you, what do you think as the next generation? What does International Women's Day mean to you? So just to think about that.
I think personally for me, I've really enjoyed this meeting just because International Women's Day for me is just to celebrate women, to celebrate our achievements, to see how far we've come, and just to hear everyone's advice and to hear from women before us. It's honestly been so inspiring. So I've really enjoyed it.
What about you, Sasha? What about you yourself?
For me, International Women's Day is a day to talk about positive and negative issues that apply to women. I'm usually vocal every day about the things that affect me as a woman, but I feel like, this specific day every year where there's events and there's forums and there's articles and all kinds of stuff that brings it into the limelight, that's something that I really appreciate about International Women's Day and always look forward to every year.
Becky, I'm going to ask, thank you, Sasha. Becky, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yeah, I think it's just a great chance really to see what women have done, those who have come before us, what they've done, where they've put us now to be where we can be at this moment, the opportunities we have open to us, and really start thinking about what we can also change to get better. And I think, interestingly, it really feels like it is a day of inclusion, despite the name sort of being International Women's Day. It does feel like it's inclusion of all men, women, diversity, race, gender, it's everything really. So I think it's also a symbol of inclusivity, I see.
Yeah, I think you're right in saying that it's everybody. It's everybody when you think about it as well. Hannah, I'm going to ask you the same question.
I think similar to what Sasha said about, although you talk about women's issues every day, I think International Women's Day gives you a day where you know that people are going to listen, rather than every day you can sort of say, but not everyone's up for a political conversation every day. But I feel like International Women's Day gives us a chance to reflect on all the things that women have achieved in the past, and also look onto all the other things that we could also achieve in the future and what's left to do, as well as what we've already done.
Okay. Thank you, Hannah. And Zara, I'm going to ask you the same question as well. What does it mean to you, International Women's Day?
Yeah, I think I agree with the rest of the women here, but I also think it's a day of recognising our struggle and all that we have been through, as well as trying to look forward to the future and how we can help other women suffering and the more achievements we have yet to achieve.
Okay. I was going to ask to the panel, is there any time when you think about your own personal journey where you felt that you've pushed yourself as a woman? Is there any time when you think about, when you look back at your own journey as it is, where you felt you pushed yourself? I'm going to ask that question to Arushi.
Yeah, I think when you say that, the first thing that jumps to my mind is when at the beginning of secondary school, I played hockey for during school off, and I realized that we didn't have a girls hockey team. So I just played with the boys. I did the training with them. And when the season came, the boys were like, oh, you can't play with us anymore. Girls don't play hockey. And I thought they meant, okay, I can't participate in their tournaments because it's for boys.
Yeah.
But what they actually meant was girls can't play hockey.
Horrifying.
And I was furious. I was absolutely shocked. I was like, what have I been doing all this time training with you? And I went home that day and I had a huge rant to my parents. I was like, how could they say this? How could they, this is unfair. And they just turned to me and were like, well, what are you going to do about it? I was like, oh, wow, that's a really good question. What am I going to do about it? So the next day, I went to my head of PE and I asked if we could have a girls' hockey team. And since it was already hockey season, they said, it was a bit too late. We haven't trained any of the girls, so it doesn't really seem worth, entering a team into the tournament. And I was like, what will it take? What can I do so that we can go to the tournament? And all they said was, just bring the numbers. Bring as many girls as you need, and you can enter the tournament. I said, that's fine. I will do that. Leave that to me. So I went around, I invited all my friends. I was like, we get a half day from school. I don't care if you don't like hockey. I just need you guys to come and show up so that I could have a team. And they did that for me. They all got together and we went to our hockey tournament. And surprisingly, although more than half of us had never played hockey before, we won our tournament. And it was amazing. And going back to school and sharing it with the boys that didn't win their tournament, unfortunately, and showing them that girls do play hockey was just amazing. I felt so good about myself. And I was like, well, if I put my mind to it, I really can achieve anything that I want.
Such a brilliant story. I do love that. Can I ask that question to anyone else? Maybe Becky, can you answer same question to yourself?
Yeah, I think that's a great story.
Can you relate?
Too. I think for me, I feel quite fortunate, and I don't feel like I've been necessarily had challenge put up against me in my sort of career development, but I think I have always enjoyed trying to sort of find them to put on myself. And certainly, I think when I think about, I had a chance to work in industry as part of my undergraduate at an engineering company for a year. And I think I didn't quite realise I was a bit naive going into it perhaps, and I sort of, as an engineer, I was working on the shop floor with a large number of technicians the majority were male, and a lot of them have been there sort of 20, 30 years, and I was going in to work with them to try and look at what changes they could make to their operations to do things differently in practice. And I think at first I found it, I wasn't quite sure how to really interact and negotiate to do things differently with these technicians who've been doing something their whole lives and they know it the best way to do something. But as time went on, I've really just learned the most important thing is just to sort of take a step back, think, learn, take notes as much as possible, go back, revise, and make sure I'm clued up on what I'm doing and can contribute, and think about where I can maybe add something different, and really just work with people to get to the point where it's not a case of where age matters, gender matters, or what you look like. It's just people working together in a team, adding what they can and trying to creatively find a solution to something, and enjoying it at the same time too. So I think, yeah, just really always trying to find a way to push yourself out your comfort zone is a great thing, because you always come out the other side of it a lot stronger. I think that's what I found anyway.
You just it's interesting, Rebecca, you just talking, it felt awfully proud when you said that as a mum. I felt awfully proud when you said you walked in there, and so it was just that feeling, just to say that. Thank you.
No. I'm grateful to have really strong women supporting me around me all the time. So
thank you. Hannah, I'm going to ask you the same question.
I'd probably say I did Duke of Edinburgh with my school a year or so ago. And obviously you have to carry really heavy bags, and you have to hike for miles, and it's very long, very tiring, it's very awful. But I remember a lot of boys did it. And in my group was the only girl group. They kind of took all the girls and put them in one group. Right. And all the other groups had boys in them, and they would say to the boys, oh, like, the boys can carry the heavy stuff, they can carry the pots and the pans and the tents. Then they got to my group and they were like, oh, I guess you can just evenly distribute the heavy stuff amongst you guys, and see how you go. And they didn't expect us to like be the first group finish. They didn't expect us to like do well or like do a longer walk. But I think our group did one of the longest routes, the furthest, and we actually finished before most of the boys did. And I think one of the boys didn't even finish their walk, and I just felt quite proud of myself, because at the time I didn't want to do it, I hated it, didn't enjoy it, but like no one expected my group, the all girls group, to finish first. So yeah, that was quite a good feeling.
Wow, that was amazing, actually. I almost imagine your determination in doing that. Thank you, Becky, Hannah. Zara, I'm going to ask you the same question, Zara.
I guess for me is every time I challenge someone undermining me, whether that be my own family or peers or teachers, simply because I'm a woman and because of my gender. Because I have faced, as most of you probably have as well, a lot of misogyny in my life. And every time I've come to overcome that, whether that be just challenging the person with their point of view or just like doing better than them, I think that takes great strength, and for me that is a great achievement for me.
Yeah, and something about being brave enough to say it and having that confidence to say it, and I imagine feeling great once you've managed to say what you needed to say. Brilliant, thank you, Zara. Can I ask that question to Sasha?
So I'd say for me, one of the challenges is, one of my passions has always been media and journalism and things like that. And that's why I chose to study that at school and at university. And one big challenge was sort of seeing how women are portrayed in the media and the press and the scrutiny and, and sort of the things about their body or just undermining women. And I found that really challenging, because it's kind of like, it was one of the main reasons why I wanted to go down that career path, is because I wanted to change it. I wanted to see a change. I didn't like what I was seeing. And, slowly but surely we're seeing that change, but still seeing that problem. We've got Meghan Markle in the press at the moment and how she's being treated by certain people, and you're still seeing it, and it makes you angry. But it's a challenge, it's a challenge, because you're like, okay, I need to do something about this. You're not going to change the world by yourself, but you can be part of the change. So I found that to be quite a challenge. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, Sasha. I was going to ask to the panel, do you think it's taken small steps to create the change? I mean, when you talk about choose to make a change, when you think about challenges, is it about small steps to do make those changes? What do you think when you think about that, how we're challenging?
I think it's important to just make sure it's an open conversation and to keep the conversation going. Even though we have this day to celebrate International Women's Day, it's important to be talking about women's issues every day, with not just the women around you, but also the male members around you, like family members, just so that the more we talk about it, the more it will come to the surface, and then the more changes will happen.
What does anybody else consider with that question?
Yeah, I think. Oh,
go on, Sasha.
Sasha.
Okay, so I think that definitely having a open dialogue. So it's nice. It was nice to see that we have men watching this too. So I think that that's a quite a small step that's definitely necessary, is to have an inclusive conversation, to include everyone, women from all walks of life, also men, different age groups. So that's why we're doing a young panel. I'd say that that's one of the most useful steps as well, is to have a big open dialogue about it.
Yeah, so something about a collective, isn't it? Making it very open. Becky, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I definitely agree on both those points. I think making sure it's open and sort of not sort of shaming people for certain views, but trying to educate as to why it might be good to think slightly differently. And I think it's really important for girls, women, to keep going for opportunities in whatever it is they want to do. And whether that's a male-dominated field or not, I think it's great just to have the women in the workplace trying to show a different point of view. And because I think any sort of injustice or sort of discrimination that might come about is quite often from just things that people maybe don't know or haven't experienced, and that's maybe from the male standpoint or not. And so I think just by having a more diverse group of people in those situations in the first place, you start to learn about each other, and it's not a fear anymore, and it's more a case of being exciting and actually everyone bringing something different to the table. So I think just getting more and more people out into sort of situations that are unknown, the more the better, the more diverse the better.
Something about, and what I'm hearing is something about go for it. If one person could make that change, so if you don't be afraid and literally just to go for it. That's quite interesting to say that. I wanted to ask as a group, who inspires you? So who inspires you? Zara, I'm going to ask you the question, who inspires you?
I think a lot of people inspire me, a lot of strong women inspire me, because I grew up in the age of social media, when social media was popping. So I saw a lot of strong women on my profile, and kind of reminding me of how far I have to come to be like them. And yeah, I think that just in itself inspires me a lot, as well as fictional characters you just see, whether reading books or just watching something. I think that inspires me as well, just seeing everyone's characteristics and how I should apply that to my life.
That's interesting that you relate it to books and things like that. That's quite a good point. So looking at women, etc., in sort of literature and things like that. Anybody else? Sasha, who inspires yourself?
Well, obviously, I'd say my mum, definitely. But I think overall, I'm just inspired by sort of the feminine energy in general. You know, I'm sort of quite spiritual in that sense that feminine energy is very strong. Motherhood is strong. Everything that feminine energy brings is a strong feeling. So I'm just inspired by being surrounded by strong women, speaking with strong women. That's what inspires me most. Is just the energy that females bring.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Sasha. Hannah, who inspires you? You're slightly younger, so who inspires you, Hannah?
I'd say the same, mainly my mum, my nana, but then I'd also say Becky, who's on the panel as well. She's my god sister, and I think when I was growing up, I saw myself a lot on her and the things she did. My mum was like, "Oh, Becky's like at the Floyd, like she's at sitcom, she's doing really well, she's doing her A-levels." My mum would always be like, "That's going to be you one day," and I always thought to myself, like, "Yeah, that will be me one day." So growing up, I always think a lot of Becky and how she's doing at uni, doing a PhD and stuff, and I see myself a lot on her as I grow up, and hope that I'll be as successful.
That's a really lovely story. Becky, then I'm going to ask you, Becky, who inspires you?
I think that's far too kind, Hannah. But yeah, for me, really, I think it is very similarly. It's just a case of the women around me. A lot of the time, are sort of, whether it's particularly my mum, just as a strong woman, and just being so positive in everything she does. I think that's something that I really try and take with me every day. And day to day. Also, just my friends too, even doing the best that they can in whatever job it is. They really inspire me, and also in the sporting world too, sort of being in teams where we're sort of all pushing to be the best we can be. I find that's really kept me sort of motivated through the things that I do.
Thank you, Becky. I'm going to ask a question to, is it Rushi, who inspires you?
Yep. I think I'm gonna stick to the trend of women inspiring women, because it really does make such a huge difference in our lives. And for me, actually, I'd say it's Mimi who inspires me.
Oh wow, okay.
She actually played a huge role during my role as a member of Youth Parliament. I faced a lot of challenges where wasn't really taken seriously, didn't have much support from a lot of the people in the council. But as soon as I met her and I introduced myself, she took me under her wing, she allowed me to shadow her, and she created opportunities for me, and she helped me get my voice out there. And she's carried on doing that, and her ethos is something that I've taken with me in my university life now to keep going, and her work ethic. So honestly, just being inspired by all the women here and being inspired by Mimi was something that made a huge difference in my life.
Thank you, Rushi. I was just going to say, Mimi.
I'm going to interrupt now, because my goodness me, that is so kind of you to say that. But Arushi, it was your own inner strength that just needed the opportunity to come out and speak to people. We are really running over time. So Claudette, I'm going to have to wind this section up, if that's okay.
No, that's fine. It's been lovely, though.
It's been absolutely fantastic. Claudette, you've done a brilliant job in coordinating this. I've got one question, and I'm just going to let this one question come out. Have any of the young panelists read Michelle Obama's book, Becoming? I can see some nods. Open all
yes, if you have.
Open all your everybody open
just go.
Just speak.
I have. And I thought it was a really honest discussion from her, and I think it's well worth a read if you haven't already.
Great, absolutely great. Are there any more questions from the? There are no more. There's none in the Q&A bar. There's none from the floor. But I think Claudette's done such a fantastic, talking to you. Just chaired this session so beautifully. The things that you said are so inspiring. And as I said at the beginning of this, if these are the young women who are up and coming, this world is in a very, very good place. So I think we all owe you one of these. Thank you so much for coming in and for joining us this evening. I'm very acutely aware of the fact that we are running over time, and I know people are enjoying it because we've still got so many of you on the line. It's fantastic that you're here. Ladies, can I say thank you? Thank you, Claudette. Thank you, Bea, for enabling this session, for sharing this session, for asking the questions. Thank you to all our panelists for your honesty, for your fantastic views, your fabulous fresh ideas, your inspirational comments, and you are the future, and it's so good to see the future in such safe hands. So thank you very much indeed. And I'm loving the fact that you're doing such fantastic subjects, because Rebecca, you're doing engineering, yeah. Arushi, you're doing maths.
Yep.
Sasha, you're flying high in the council in the Comsdiv team. Hannah and Zara, you're up and coming, and you're just finding your feet and getting your voice out there. It's inspiring. You are just inspiring, all of you. Thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate it. I'm going to hand over now, if I may, to Ranjula. Ranjula, are you with us? I'm going to wait for you to unmute. And Ranjula is going to summarize how this evening has gone for her as the lead for the Women's Forum that is part of the BAME network. And then, so Ranjula, would you mind doing that? That would be really lovely.
Not at all. My God, I am just amazed at the two speakers. Totally inspiring, totally amazing. I think we all are going to take a lot from that. And I related to both of them in my working life as well. So thank you to Rachael Shimmin and to Patti Boule. You are just amazing. I'd also like to thank the panel, the young women's panel. My God, you are so inspiring, and you will go far. and I can see that already. I'd also like to thank my team, my A team, I should say, for all this that they've done, putting everything together. Thank you so much. I'd also like to thank the Holy Cow for all the media and your team. Thank you very much. Special thanks to Vicky, who has been delivering all this without a hiccup, really. So thank you to Vicky as well. And last but not least, thank you so much, Mimi, because without you, we wouldn't have been here. The chair of a BAME network, thank you for bringing us together and supporting us to organize this International Women's Day. So women, we are strong and we can do whatever we want. So thank you very much, everyone, and see you next year.
Before you go, Ranjula, we've got one more thing that you were going to do for us, and you were going to light a candle for us.
Yes.
Is that still going to happen?
It is going to happen if there is time.
If you could light a candle for us, that would be absolutely brilliant. And while you're sorting yourself out with that, could I also thank, apart from Holy Cow, could I also thank Andy Scott from Hello Photography? I hope I've got that the right way around, for putting those videos out there. Again, everybody that was here this evening, this network, I'm very privileged and honoured to work with a great team of people here on the Bucks BAME network, and who are all passionate about their subject matters and all committed to making a difference. And that's what it's all about. And I'm very grateful to the core committee for their dedication in getting the network off the ground. So Ranjula, if you wouldn't mind lighting that flame for us, and then we have one final quote before we say goodbye. And if you could tell us why you're lighting that flame, please.
I am lighting this candle to remember all the women who fought for women and who probably are no longer with us. So we have to remember them. They gave us strength to do where we are today. And to all the young women who are going to be our future. So may this light inspire you to follow your dream. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. That is a very beautiful thing to do. I'm going to end with a quote, and it's from Eleanor Roosevelt. And she says, "Women are like tea bags. You never know how strong they are until they're in hot water." So there you go. I hope that's been an inspiring evening for you. I hope you've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I will say, I love what Eleanor Roosevelt said there, because that is absolutely my experience. And I was in deep hot water this morning when I kept losing my internet. But that's what made us a bit more, creative about how we could go on there, because women are phenomenal. I just want to thank every single one of you for joining us this evening. Happy International Women's Day, everyone. Thank you to the team who put this all together. And please sign up to the Bucks BAME Network on bucksbamenetwork.org.uk so that we can see you all again next year. So from all of us on the Women's Work Stream, thank you very much for joining. And could everybody switch their cameras on, please, so that we can have a final goodbye from the whole team on here, and just to say thank you to everybody who is here. So this is the team. Thank you, Patti. Thank you for staying with us to the end. And Rachel was superb. It's just been it's just been such an uplifting evening. And you, all of you on the screen, you have all made it happen. Thank you so much. Good night, everybody, and a safe journey home.
For this International Women's Day, March 8th, 2021, I choose to challenge patriarchy.
I choose to challenge negativity.
I choose to challenge my role in highlighting untold stories in our communities.
I choose to challenge inequality.
For International Women's Day, I choose to challenge the notion that single mothers can't raise fine, upstanding young men.
I choose to challenge self-limiting beliefs.
I choose to challenge every girl and every woman to recognize their potential to achieve anything in life. Follow your dreams. You can do it.
I choose to challenge diversity barriers in film and TV.
On International Women's Day, I choose to challenge body shaming and beauty standards because we're all queens.